Right. Thank you all for coming. And I think the idea, as we also did last year, is these few weeks before and during Rosh Hashana and Kippur, it's nice to come together in perhaps a different environment to prepare for the Yomim Noraim. And in that sense, the focus of the shir isn't really on the parsha. We'll link it to the parsha, but it's really, and I think we'll probably take three different themes each week, and really try and hopefully cover some different perspectives. And again, it's essential to get us in the right frame of mind, the right mood, to be able to prepare for the Yom Noraim. And these days, of course, our focus is on preparation. That's how it is. So this is the time when we think about preparing. And it occurred to me that perhaps we can learn through the Akeidah and literally develop from the Akeidah a pathway towards approaching Yom Noraim. And what we're going to do is try and do that through the Pirush of the Kli Yakar. Kli Yakar has a beautiful, beautiful Pirush, an unbelievable commentary on the Akeidah. It goes through various different ideas and themes, each of which I think can be developed into some sort of pathway towards a sense of personal responsibility and a sense of personal preparation, and also giving just, I think, tremendous chizuk for the journey that we go on through these days. The link to the parsha, of course, is the concept of personal responsibility, which is so prominent in the first piece. It's always something that I think many people feel that the beginning of Nitzavim is very much the theme of, the Yom Noraim, that particularly because we lay in it quite, Shabbos Mincha during the week and Monday and Thursday. That whole piece of this, what we call is the parsha is detailing the sense of communal responsibility of Arvus. And the pasuk says, "Penyesh bochem ish oisha, shoresh peresh peresh lano." What does it say? You know the words. Also know as well, right? And then the key words, "Bishrirus libi elef," which means, basically, there's someone amongst you who basically says, "I'll do what I like, and I'll go my own way, and I'll go my own path." And this is very serious. This is very serious. Shalom yeli, ki b'shirus libi elef. And it's an amazing thing. The hisparech bilvavo. No one knows about it. They're thinking themselves alone, right? They're thinking alone. No one knows at all what is going on in there. But they've got this perspective that I can do what I like, and no one can tell me what to think and what not to think. So I'm not connected to the rest of the community, and it doesn't matter what I think and what I do. And then of course that is very serious. It's very serious. And the end of that piece, the beginning of the parsha, is this pasuk Toras Chaim, hidden things. Because the problem is, what can we do? You're punishing the public on the thoughts of an individual. It's we can't. How can the public be held responsible for that? And the answer is hidden things are down to Hashem. We can deal with what is revealed. The revealed things, that's our responsibility. But if you take it back to the individual level, meaning the focus of the parsha is on communal responsibility and how we are all linked and everything else. We do have a responsibility, and we each personally have a responsibility towards everyone else. But take it back to the individual level, and the parsha is a striking statement on the work that we need to do on ourselves and the way we think and our thought process, and ensuring that we don't have this shoresh peresh velama, we don't have this root of bitterness, or whatever the translation is, the bitter herbs, not as in bitter herbs as in Mora, but the root that is bitter within us. That's critical. Was that something like that? Yeah, exactly. Now, where do we see this in the Akeidah? Because if you look at the Akeidah, what you have really is the sense of personal journey. You have the sense of the personal journey of Avraham Avinu, and the Akeidah frames so much, of course, about Rosh Hashana itself. So if we understand the Akeidah properly, we can understand the journey, perhaps, that we are meant to go on. The journey that we are meant to go on, and the chizuk we can take from the events of the Akeidah in order to help us on that journey. And as I said, we'll try and go through. This is entirely based on the Kli Yakar, and the Kli Yakar throughout this parsha. Not going to do all of it, just bits and pieces. That's why I numbered the lines, because I thought then we could refer to various bits of it. But let's take it step by step. The first step is the Lech Lecha, right? The Lech Lecha of the Akeidah Avraham Avinu is told, right? Lech lecha el Eretz HaMoriah. You need to go for yourself to Eretz HaMoriah. And the Kliyaka tells us, line 2, Hizki lech lecha hainu el atzmoisecha. You need to go back to yourself, almost like it really means into your bones. Ki nisham totzos hachoyme asher lokach mimokim. Shnema boiv mizbech adamot haseli. You're going right back to your roots. Where are you going to? Where are you journeying to? You're journeying to Har HaMoriah, the place of the Beis HaMikdash. And that was the very place where you came from originally. You're not just going anywhere. I'm not choosing anywhere for this event to happen. It's going to the very place that you came from, your origins. You were taken from there. That's how it is. And he says that the word Moriah, or B'milas HaMoriah, nireh, the Yud K, he says, is miyutze, is extra. There's another passage in Shir Hashem which talks about Har Hamor, which is a mountain of myrrh, it's a type of spice. So what is Moriah? What is the Yud and the Hey at the end? Says the Kliyaka, because this is the place of the Even Shasiyah, the foundation stone. Ashemimenu hushsu shnei olomes nivra b'shem shel Yud K. Yud, right? Shem shel Hashem, Shem Yud K. And that is where, that is the place. The place is the place of the foundation stone. Kishara Shemaim Shamhu, he says, that is the gateway to Shemaim. And he goes on to say how that is the place where the partnership between Hashem and the Klal Yisrael it takes place as a husband and wife. That's the nature of the relationship. The same, that's the relationship we have with Hashem. The idea of the Ish ve'isha shchina shuriya beinehem, man and woman, they're close together, then the shchina is with them. This is the relationship we have. He talks about the 15 steps that apply to Shir HaMalas, 15 Shir HaMalas, but also Yud K, adds up to 15. This is what's going on here. And this is the simile, he says, of the Beis HaMikdash. And you have, if you count 15 generations from Avraham, you get to Shlomo HaMelech. So there's 15 generations from Avraham to Shlomo HaMelech, and that's how you get to the building of the Beis HaMikdash. So Avraham Avinu is being told, go right back to where you came from. You will, through this experience, right, almost like literally go back to basics. You'll go back to the very foundation of where you came, of where you originally were formed. The first man, the earth is taken from there. Mizbeach Adom, right? That's where it comes from. That's where the man was first formed. You're going right back to your origins, and you're going right back to the very place where one day the Beis HaMikdash will come from. So this is the first instance of the nature of chomer, right? He uses the word chomer. Chomer means the raw material, right? The basic elements, who you are, right? Before anything else is added on, right? Back to the very, very beginning. And here, from here we understand that the very first step in the journey that we go on Rosh Hashana is to be honest with ourselves, is to understand and be honest and try and take ourselves back and strip all the layers that, if you like, prevent us identifying who we really are throughout the year. We're going right back to those original origins. That's the Lech Lecha. Go back to yourself. Go right back to who you are. And it's an idea that, yeah?
So you could have a small play on words.
Yeah, we're going to come to that. Oh, that's it. That's the second time. Yeah. But exactly. What is the chamor? What is the donkey? The chomer. Absolutely. His Kliyah was going to get to that. Absolutely. And says, no, on the bull. Exactly that, right? But the idea of the shofar I've mentioned in the past, about the shofar and the shfir, right? The shofar, right, is also very closely related to the word shfir. Shfir is the amniotic fluid inside the womb, right? Because what the shofar is it's the primeval sound. That's what it is, a sound. The baby can make a sound, right? So the idea of the shofar is we go back to, it strips away all the layers. We go right back to how we couldn't do anything wrong. We couldn't speak at all. All we can do is make a sound, make a noise. Go back to the fetus in the womb. That's what we're trying to do. Go back to origins. It's very it's a fundamental start. That's the starting point. Where does Avraham Avinu go to? He's not told where. One of the mountains. I'm not showing you where. And the reason, says the Kliyaka, line 9, is Hashem doesn't reveal to anyone that is the place he is going to build the Beis HaMikdash. It is a secret. No one knows. It is hidden. It is concealed. And the message is that this is a place which you have to find. I'm not going to show you where it is. The journey and the place is something you have to go through. This is a journey, this is an experience. And again, if we're using this as a way of understanding and the pathway that we go on throughout Yom Neroim, throughout Rosh Hashana, it's the same idea. We don't know the destination. Hashem doesn't tell us, this is where you're going to end up. Hashem tells us where I want you to end up, the journey I want you to go on. But it's alechat hehorim, it's concealed. Why? Because it depends what you put into it. Everything depends what you put into it. Avraham has to find it, the place. Later on, as we'll see, there's a revelation, Bahar Hashem Yirayah at the end, right? Once he's got there, there's an identification of this place that one day everyone will know about this place. But at the beginning, he doesn't know.
You said he started there.
Where? No, that's where he's going to.
You said earlier, that's where he started.
No, meaning that's the beginning, so to speak, of the journey, right? To go back to his origins. But he's going on a journey. He doesn't know where he's going, right? Because he has to find the place. He has to discover it. It's hidden, it's concealed. And critical to this as well, to go further, is Vayaras Hamoka Merochik. So he sees the place, right? The next pasuk carries on, that he gets up, and he goes up in the morning, and he says, Vayokom Vayelech, and he goes with his the Shnei Na'arav with him, the two lads, and he says Vayom HaShlishi on the third day, and he sees the place far away, right? What is the idea of being far away? He says the Kliyok on line 15, Avalomi Korov, he doesn't see it nearby, it's not close. He sees the splendor of the divine presence from far away. Dafka has to be far away. The idea is that he says he compares it to someone who tries to look at the sun. So from far away you can see it, but if you get too close, it's not possible to look. The sun is too bright or whatever. You can't look. You can see something. You can't. If you look too closely, you won't be able to see it. That's what he says. And he says, how much more so is a person unable to see the divine presence itself, the Shekhinah? And he compares it to Moshe Rabbeinu as the same experience. Osuranov ve'ereh, line 18. Right? What does it mean? He says, I will turn aside and I'll see the bush that's burning. I have to go away. Osuranov, Moshe Rabbeinu turns away. Right? That's what he does. Why does he turn away? Because it's too holy, it's too kodesh. I can't be too close. If I'm too close, I'll get burnt. I can't get that close, right? He brings another pasuk in Yirmiyahu as well. The idea is that there is a distance to travel. It's not only that the place we need to get to is hidden, right? We've got to find it, right? We have to appreciate that we are far away. We have to appreciate that it's Vayaras Hamoka Merochik. It's not near. It's not something that is automatically there and present here now. We have to find it, and it's far away. There's a distance to go. There's a distance to travel. And that's because when you're searching for a sense of ruchnius, when you're searching for something spiritual, it's an investment. It needs an investment. It needs time. It's not something that's going to happen without going on a journey full of effort. And that's the distance. And then we have the pasuk that Daniel referred to before, Vayoma Avraham Na'arav Shvu Lachem Poyam HaChamor. He says, stay here with the chamor, with the donkey. What is the emphasis? What is the idea of stay here with the chamor, with the donkey? Rashi already says the idea of, I believe Rashi, that you am hadoim el chamor, because there are avodim, servants like a chamor, like a donkey. So he says, the Kliyaka says, line 21, Loma usis on tefillah lachamor. Right? Does anyone else want the sheets? You're okay with that? Now, why does he make them secondary? It's okay. Why does he make them secondary to the donkeys? Right? Why does he make it second? Why does he do that? The answer is because they are comparable. They are comparable in terms of their animalistic nature. These are the people he's leaving behind. But they're also worse in a sense. The donkey is just doing its normal thing. It's acting because that's the way it was created. It doesn't have that level of das, that knowledge. But when we mess things up, we sin willingly, like we know what we're doing. And that's why they're even worse than the donkey. You stay here with the donkey, meaning you're secondary to the donkey. The donkey's located there, and you can attach yourself to the donkey. And then this element of I think parallels in a sense that first mention of Chomer. Avraham Avinu goes back to his origins. He goes back to that place where he was hewn from. The chomer meaning the raw material. The chomer is related to chamor. The donkey is the sense that it doesn't have any knowledge and it just does what the owner wishes it to do. There's a whole people discuss why it is that a donkey symbolizes this or not. Okay, fine. But the point is that to go on this journey, honestly, we have to also recognize the fact that we can be less than a donkey. And that's a very difficult thing to do. We have to recognize the fact that we can be that we can end up being Hoyam HaChamar, that we are secondary to the donkey. Because when we mess things up intentionally, right, then we're essentially worse than an animal, because the animal doesn't know what it's doing, we do. So the point is, there needs to be a recognition of where we are and what we are and what it is when we get things wrong, when we do things incorrectly. It comes back to this idea of honesty, going back to our roots, going back to our origins and understanding where we come from.
Like belong.
Yeah.
The donkey could see the mother.
Yeah. That's right. The presence of the donkey and where the donkey appears, right? Although there it's called an osso, yeah. But the fact that the donkey knows more than Bilam, exactly. Yeah, it's a good comparison. Yeah. Danny, you had a question? Oh, the next bit that the Kliyaka develops is the idea of, and again, what I'm doing is just going through the parsha, which, by the way, is anyway vital to understand before we get to Rosh Hashana. But the idea of Vayomer Ovi. What is going on when Yitzchok says? If you look at the first phrase that Yitzchok says to Avraham, Vayomer Yitzchok al Avraham Ovi. And Yitzchok said to Avraham, so Avraham takes the wood, etc., and he says, Vayomer Ovi, Vayomer Hineni V'ni. He says, my father. He says, here I am, my son. And then he says, here's the fire and the wood, etc., etc. What is going on? Why is it? What does he mean when he says, Vayomer Ovi? He hasn't said anything. Why not ask the question? You understand? He's talking to his father, and he says, Dad. And Avram says, I'm here. And then he says the question. Here's the fire. So what is that first bit of the dialogue? You would expect him to say, yeah, but Ovi, my father, right? Where's the fire and the wood? Sorry, here's the fire and the wood. Where's the set? Right? Where's the animal that we're offering up? That's Yitzchok's question, but he doesn't get there. First, there's just a Dad, and he goes, here I am. I mean, they're walking together. So what's good? Says the Kliyaka, and this is here in line 24. Yitzchok hasn't said anything. He just says, Dad, Father, and he's quiet. Yitzchok feels and he senses. So according to the Kliyaka, he's already got a sense of what's happening, and he realizes there's no animal here. And he sees and he thinks, maybe it's going to be me. Maybe that's what's really happening here. So he thinks maybe he's not like my father anymore. Maybe he doesn't have pity on me like a father will have pity on his young. And that's why he says, right? Because Yitzchak does not know that this is Hashem's will. So he thinks maybe he's offering me up and he wants to shech me because he just doesn't like me anymore. Maybe he's rejected me. Maybe it's my father's own decision to do this. And therefore he says, Ovi. He says, my father. Because he's trying to test to work out, will he answer? Will he respond to that title? Because he knows that if Avinu will respond to the title, my father, then he knows he's still his father. Then he knows he's still close to him. That he's still his father, right? And in this context, it's a dialogue between Yitzchok and Avraham, right? You can find, I'm sure other references, but this context is a dialogue between the two of them. And when he says the Kliyaka line 27, here I am, my son, and he says, my son, he still has the same affection for him. Then he says, where is the sheep? Where is the sheep? And then he says, this is Hashem, he says, not me. Hashem has made these decisions. And we are now together. And that's why it's now they both went together. And this is again critical. This is again critical for us approaching Rosh Hashana, I think, because this is how we feel. When we approach these days, the first feelings that we have are a feeling of distance. before we get to ask, right? Before we can even ask, like the things we need or want or wish for, the first thing we're calling is Avi. Like Avinu Malkeinu, you know. Is the relationship there? Are you still my father? Am I your son? Am I your daughter? That's the feeling. That dialogue between Yitzchok and Avraham Avinu that's the dialogue we experience at the beginning of our journey on Rosh Hashana. We experience that dialogue, that sense of like, can I connect? Because if we don't connect, it's very hard to move from there into everything else that needs to follow. That's the connection. And Hineni V'ni means the connection's there.
I heard it suggested that not only is the shofar commemorative of what happened at the end of the episode, but also fills the space of this awkward dialogue where there's nothing being said.
Yes, beautiful, absolutely, yeah, right. In other words, it fills a space where there are no words. Yes. That's the point. Yes. The words can't. Whatever you say would never work. Would never be enough. Exactly, that's right.
The strongest relationship, the closest relationships don't necessarily require there to be a dialogue.
Yeah, well, don't necessarily words. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So then he says. So then, the next stage is what is the effect now? Now, if you like, the narrative switches, at least in the way we're understanding the Kliyokar, the narrative now switches to that coming close to Hashem. So they establish the relationship, and then what happens, right? So immediately after the event, right, or at least as the event's happening, what does the Malach say? Avraham twice. And what are the two words? Avraham. And the Kliyokar says here, line 31, he says, this is a lashon of chibah, closeness, cherishness. Because Avraham has been addressed by Hashem beforehand, but not with that phrase, Avraham. Why not? Why only now? Because until now, the rest of the world didn't know how close the relationship was. Maybe he went past the test. Now everyone knows the relationship, and that's why it says Avraham twice, because we know that what this does, what the passing of this test does, is it publicizes Avraham to the rest of the world, the idea of the nace. And that's what he says as well in the next bit. He says, if you turn to the next page, line 40, he says, Ato Yodati, he says, sorry, it's the next bit, the next chapter, Yesh Omrim. I'm just doing bits of it. The Yesh Omrim, line 43, Yodati Kumo Hoidati, I have made known. The purpose of this test was to raise a flag, to show the nations of the world how precious his deeds were. And therefore, that what it means when it says right? It means to raise a flag. Kenes al hagiva means like a flag. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So we find the word nes, a miracle, it also means like a banner, because that's what a nes does. A miracle does. It's like a flash of light, right? That's what it does. It shows. It's like a wow. It's like there's a miracle, right? Something's happened. So that's what Avraham Avinu. That's what happens here. And the point we have is, and here, I think this is very closely related. This idea is very closely related to, again, such a central theme at the heart of Rosh Hashana. Throughout our tefillas on Rosh Hashana, it's a global Yom Tov Rosh Hashana. It's not only for us, it's for the whole world. And we emphasize that again and again and again, because the ripple effect of drawing close to Hashem is that it transforms everything. The whole world is different. The whole world, we look at the world in a different way. It's not just us. That's the same thing that happens to Avraham Avinu. Because he goes on this personal journey, and because he transforms himself, everyone else is transformed as well. The whole world changes. That is the Avraham. That is the chibah, the cherishness of Avraham. What happens with the shofar? How does the shofar feature in this? By Yisrael Avraham, Achar ne'echaz basvach v'karnov. There's another ram that is held in the thicket. There's a whole discussion which we don't have time to go into. You can, if you'd like to cover in your own time, there's a whole discussion of what the Ayel Achar implies. There's two rams. What's going on? There's a second ram. There's a whole discussion. Ayel Achar, another ram. But what I want to dig out for today is there's a here. If you turn on to the third page, line 87. I say it's a long piece about this the idea of the ram and the double frame. What it looks like. There's another ram. He brings a medrash. The medrash says in Bereshis Rabbah, Bereshis Rabbah Omru, line 87, the medrash says that we're always trapped. We are like that ram. We are ne'echaz, we are held in the thicket with all the things we've done wrong. And we are also so entrenched and ensconced in all the tzoros that we experience as a people. The sofon lihigoel, the kind of shalayel. The medrash says, and we will be redeemed with the horns of a ram. And he says that the simple explanation of this medrash, pshuto shemedrash zeh maskem et vorenu, sheposek zeh medaber b'choyte v'rav meri asher kanayim yodo lo. And that's all explained beforehand, how this posuk refers to someone who has done the wrong thing. There's someone who has done the sin, who has sinned, who has acted incorrectly. He links that to the concept of a horn and everything else. He talks about it in the whole previous piece, being trapped. He connects it to the Eitz Hadas. There's the tree, the link to the tree of knowledge. All these ideas, he says, are linked, and this is what's being expressed here. But what happens here? The medrash says, "Sofon le'egol b'kan of shel they will be redeemed with the horns of the ram." Nearly the farish al shofar shel Rosh Hashana shepakeren shel ayil. This refers to the shofar of Rosh Hashana, which is with the horn of the ram. What are we being redeemed from on Rosh Hashana? We're being redeemed from the Yetzer Hara that spreads its net to catch us. How does the shofar free us? The answer is the shofar comes to confuse the Satan. We're very familiar with this. And through confusing the Satan, we are redeemed. Because, and this is the problem, right? We're all familiar with this kind of idea. The shofar confuses the Satan, right? Why does it confuse the Satan? So the Gemara explains in the next paragraph to summarize outside. Because the Satan thinks that it might be the shofar of Moshiach, and that confuses him and he gets terrified. That's what the Gemara says in Rosh Hashana. It's a bit confusing, because there's another confusion of the Satan, which is not blowing the shofar on Rosh Hashana, where there's the fascinating debate about this year. You know about this, right? In the old Singer Siddur, it says that you do blow the shofar this year on Friday. You aware of that? They changed it in the newer editions. Huh? I mentioned it. Yeah. Why? Because they because you don't blow shofar on Shabbos. So there is a day in between to confuse the Sultan. Yeah, it's right. Anyway, so what?
Might be Rabbi Rose.
I certainly have mentioned it. I'm trying to remember where. No, I mentioned in the morning. No, I did. In Mishnah Berurah.
Yes.
In Mishnah Berurah, yeah, I did mention it. No. Well, yeah, thank you. Good memory. What?
What are we doing?
No, we don't blow the shofar on Friday, even though Shabbos is you don't blow shofar. You understand? I just confused the Satan. Right? You don't blow Rosh Hashana, so he thinks it's over, right? But you're not blowing anyway on Shabbos. So there is a potential argument not to blow on Rosh Hashana. There's more to it. What? But so yeah, we do not blow the shofar on Friday. Anyway, Rosh Hashana. Oh, that's his question. Look at his question. 994. 994. That's his question, and he's got the most incredible pshat. B'chila yoda. Does he not know shechokul Yisrael miyom yomima? Does he not know we've been doing this every year? V'adai Mashiach lo bo, right? And Mashiach doesn't come. Beautiful pshat. He says that he knows that we have a mitzvah to perform. And he knows the reason of the mitzvah, ultimately, of the shofar, is to wake us up, like the Rambam says. So we do tshuva. And tshuva brings the geula. And that's what confuses him. And that's what he's scared of. He's scared maybe the geula really will come. Maybe this is the shofar that will prompt the geula. Because we'll do tshuva. Because it will wake us up and it will change us and transform us. And that is what he's worried about. Line 96, the Sultan knows that previous years, we haven't done shofar properly. We haven't listened to the sound of the shofar. He knows that's what's happened, right? So Yazman, she is chartu al ros shofar shleimon. The time will come, one day, he's worried that we will do shofar properly, and therefore every year he's worried maybe this is the year. And that is what it means it confuses the Sultan. That's what it means. He thinks it's the Sultan, it's the shofar of Mashiach, right? He thinks that maybe this year they're going to get it right. And therefore, and that is why he says that that is what it means when it says that the Sultan is worried. He's not worried. He's not scared off by the shofar. He's scared off by the potential we have. He's scared off by the potential we have to listen to the shofar. That's what scares the Sultan, right? And finally, Bahar Hashem Yira'eh, he says like this, what does it mean when it says that he calls the place Hashem will be seen will appear. And this is the idea that although he says, why is it called Hashem Yireh? Hashem Yireh means in the future. Yireh, will see, right? Hashem will see. Because this Mokum Kodesh, line 105, wasn't revealed to anyone. As we said before, even Avraham doesn't know where it is. One of the mountains. He didn't say anything to him except that which Avraham sensed. Avraham saw the cloud. That's all he sees. Hashem doesn't tell him which mountain it is. Avraham sees the cloud because Avraham works it out. He has to do that journey, as we said. He has to go on that journey. He has to work out, there's a cloud, there's an honor. Hashem doesn't tell him this is the right one. He has to get there himself. He has to find it. But this place, one second, but this place is a place where one day Hashem will reveal himself on this place. And it says, line 109, there will be in the future that Hashem will choose this place. And in that, we said to all future generations, and not before. It's on this day that Hashem will choose to reveal himself on that place. And the point is that the outcome, the eventual outcome of the journey is the belief and the knowledge that won't always be a journey. There won't always be a hidden journey, a place that we don't know where to get to. One of the mountains. And that's the emunah we express throughout our tefillas. The tzmichas keren, the David Avdecha, right? Yeah. What does it say? Yeah. It will go like smoke, vanish. It's an incredible statement of belief, of emunah. We're so confident, right? We're so confident it's going to happen. How can we be so confident? Why is it on Rosh Hashana more than any other Yom Tov we're so confident in this future, right? This transformed world that everyone and everything believes in Hashem, right? Why is it that we're so confident? And the answer is because Rosh Hashana is the only time we're brave enough to go on the journey ourselves. We follow the path of Avraham Avinu. That's what we do. We go looking for that mountain. We go looking for that place. That the rest of the year, we're not brave enough to do that. We're not brave enough the rest of the year to go back to our origins, to hear the sound of the shofar. We're not brave enough to go on this journey. On one of the mountains, you've got to find it. Lech lecha, go into yourself. But on Rosh Hashana, that's what we do. We take personal responsibility. The absolute antithesis of the person, shalom yeli, right? The person is going, I'm happy where I am. Rosh Hashana is the opposite of that. We're vulnerable. Vulnerability is incredibly difficult. To be personally vulnerable, to expose our own vulnerabilities. And yet that is what we do in Rosh Hashana. And I think if you follow through and you understand deeply and work through the Akeidas, we've really just scratched the surface just through one mahalach, just one common, series of commentaries of Kliyaka. That's all. One of the Rishonim on Akeidas. You can develop and build an actual pathway, a guide towards Rosh Hashana itself. So that is hopefully the some ideas which can perhaps get us in the mood that we should be able to approach this Rosh Hashana, the beginning of the time of slichas, not as a time of distance, but a time of closeness, a time where we say Ovi, Vayom Ovi, Vayom Hineni, and Hashem responds. When we say Ovi, Hashem says Hineni V'ni, I'm here. All you have to say is Ovi. When you say Ovi, you call out. That's when Hashem is able to respond to us. Thank you all for coming. Hashem will continue. As I say, different theme, but on the Yom Neroim, it's Hashem next week, where we'll be in, I think Leo's hosting next week. Michael's hosting the third week. Thank you. Thank you all for coming, and thank you so much, Martin and Lisa, for hosting. Thank you. Right.